The unbearable heat of the Egyptian sun beat down on Dr. Evelyn Wright's team as they surveyed the newly discovered burial chamber. They had been excavating at the base of the Great Pyramid of Giza for weeks when their shovels struck something hard, not stone but metal. The discovery promised to rewrite history books, but would it also seal their fates? Dr. Wright brushed away centuries of sand, revealing an inscription in hieroglyphics. As her fingers traced the archaic symbols, a chill ran down her spine. She knew these markings well, having dedicated her career to Egyptology, but this was different. It was older, and she had never seen these symbols carved anywhere else. Her mind raced, trying to piece together what this could mean. In the flickering light of their lamps, the team uncovered more writing. It told the story of the pharaoh who lay buried here, one whose name had been lost to time. But there was no record of this pyramid in any archaeological texts. It was as if it had been built in secret and then erased from existence. As Evelyn descended into the tomb, each step echoing in the vast emptiness, she felt an oppressive presence bearing down on her. The air grew colder, carrying the scent of decaying vegetation and something else, something acrid like old blood. Deeper still, the walls closing in around her, she realized there was another unsettling odor, musky and undeniably human. Fear pricked at her. Was it possible this tomb was still occupied? Suddenly the ground beneath them gave way, sending Dr. Wright plummeting into the darkness. The world spun around her before crashing to a halt. Dazed, she found herself in a subterranean labyrinth beneath the pyramid. The air hung heavy with the smell of dust and decay, and the only light came from the flickering flames of torches placed at regular intervals along the walls. She continued deeper into the bowels of the earth, calling out, but her voice echoed back at her mockingly. There was no response. Only the drip, drip, drip of unseen water echoed in the oppressive silence. Then she saw them, rows upon rows of sarcophagi lining the walls, each one intricately carved with images of gods and mythical beasts. An unnatural chill seeped into her bones despite the sweltering heat above. She could feel eyes boring into her from the depths of the tombs. Her headlamp beam revealed an inscription on the far wall, and she hurried toward it, her heart pounding in her chest. The writing told the story of a pharaoh who had been betrayed by his own son, who had usurped the throne and buried him alive. A curse had been placed upon the royal bloodline, a curse that would condemn them to wander the earth as restless spirits, doomed to suffer for eternity. Evelyn felt a sudden dread creep up her spine. Could these tombs hold the spirits of the cursed royals? If so, what did that mean for her? As she turned to leave, something shifted in the darkness behind her. Startled, she whirled around, her headlamp sweeping the chamber, but she saw nothing. Had it been the wind, or was something else stirring in the darkness? Days turned into weeks as the team worked tirelessly to uncover more of the pyramid's secrets. With each passing day, the oppressive atmosphere in the tomb seemed to grow heavier. Strange occurrences began to plague the workers, unexplainable events that defied rational explanation. Tools went missing, only to be found broken and discarded nearby. Unexplained whispers echoed through the empty corridors, and chilling laughter seemed to slither around them in the dead of night. But perhaps the most disturbing was the sudden illness that struck many of the workers. High fevers, painful swellings, and strange skin lesions appeared with no discernible cause. Some even began to babble incoherently, speaking in tongues that no one recognized. Fear and paranoia spread like wildfire, turning colleagues against each other as they sought to blame someone, anyone, for the horrors that were unfolding around them. Deep within the pyramid, Evelyn stumbled upon a hidden chamber filled with strange artifacts, including a small wooden box adorned with disturbing imagery. She hesitated before opening it, sensing a dark power within. But curiosity and the need to understand the curse drove her to lift the lid. Inside, nestled on a bed of crimson cloth, was a small amulet shaped like a scarab beetle. It was made of pure gold and studded with rubies, and it hummed with an energy that she could feel deep in her bones. As she reached for it, the air crackled with energy and a guttural voice echoed around her, commanding her to return the artifact and end her meddling. Terrified, she dropped the box and stumbled back. The amulet rolled off the table and shattered, releasing a plume of black smoke that coalesced into the shape of a grotesque beetle. Its chitinous shell glistened with an oily sheen, and its multifaceted eyes burned with malevolent intelligence. As the creature lunged, razor-sharp mandibles dripping with venomous saliva, Evelyn fled. She could hear its chittering just behind her, promising a fate worse than death. Trapped in a nightmare from which there was no escape, she ran blindly, desperate to find the surface, to escape the suffocating grip of the pyramid. But the tunnel seemed to stretch on forever, a labyrinth designed to test her sanity. Just when she thought she couldn't go on, she found an opening, a shaft leading upward. Bursting through the exit, she gasped at the sight before her. Instead of the familiar desert, she found herself in a lush oasis teeming with exotic plants and animals. In the distance, she could see the Great Pyramid of Giza, looking much like it did on the day it was built. But there was something else there too, something that shouldn't have been possible. Hidden beneath the shadow of the Great Pyramid, she saw another structure, smaller but no less imposing. It was a pyramid, perfectly symmetrical, matching the angles and proportions of its larger counterpart. Only now, it was cloaked in a thick layer of sand, almost completely hidden from view. Before her stood two pyramids, each holding secrets that had lain dormant for thousands of years. What had been buried in the sands of time, and why had it been hidden from the world? Why had she been brought here? The ground beneath her feet rumbled, and both pyramids began to glow with an eerie green light. From within the smaller pyramid, a low growl echoed, growing louder, more menacing by the second. Something was stirring, something huge, something angry. Driven by primal fear, Evelyn didn't stop running until she reached the relative safety of her camp. But even here, she couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, hunted. As she looked back toward the glowing pyramids, she could have sworn she saw movement in the shadows at the entrance to the hidden tomb. And as the night wore on, the growling grew louder, more insistent. Ash! It was coming from inside the tomb, from whatever she had awakened. No, her mind reeled, trying to make sense of what she had seen. The second pyramid, the one hidden beneath the sand, could it have been the one mentioned in the inscription? The one holding the remains of the cursed pharaoh? And what was that creature? Why had it stirred after all these millennia? She in danger, or had she unleashed something far worse? Driven by a morbid curiosity and a desperate need to understand, she knew she had to go back. Dart. She gathered her courage, steeling herself for whatever horrors awaited her. As she descended into the tomb, the oppressive silence pressed in on her, amplifying every creak and groan of the ancient structure. The air grew thick with anticipation, heavy with the promise of something terrible. The pyramid seemed to be watching her, judging her, waiting for her to turn back, but she couldn't. She was too close to the truth now. Suddenly the growl echoed again, closer this time, accompanied by the sound of heavy footsteps. Whatever was in there was coming for her. Fumbling for her flashlight, she turned and ran, blindly crashing through the underbrush, thorns tearing at her clothes, dirt and leaves stinging her eyes and skin. She could hear the creature close behind her, its hot breath on her neck, its raspy tongue tasting the fear on her skin. Then she tripped, sprawling on the ground, the wind knocked out of her lungs. She lay there, paralyzed with fear, as the creature loomed over her, its eyes boring into hers. All she could do was scream into the abyss, knowing that her terror would echo throughout eternity. The creature opened its mouth, revealing rows of razor-sharp teeth, and she braced for the end. But instead of ripping her flesh from bone, it did something unexpected. It spoke, its voice a raspy whisper that seemed to slither through her bones. It told her of the curse that had been placed upon it, of the betrayal that had led to its entombment, and of the prophecy that foretold its eventual release. It explained how it had waited for millennia, gathering strength, biding its time, and how Evelyn had inadvertently set it free. It told her of its plan to spread the curse to the living, to punish those who had wronged it and those who had come after. It hissed, promising a reign of terror that would shake the world as it plunged into eternal darkness. Then, with a final guttural laugh that echoed through the ruins, it vanished, leaving Evelyn alone in the darkness, the weight of the prophecy crushing her. She scrambled to her feet, racing toward the safety of the camp, knowing that she had unleashed forces beyond her understanding. As the sun rose, painting the sky in hues of orange and gold, Evelyn Wright stood at the edge of the excavation site, staring at the pyramids. Behind her, the camp was a hive of activity as her team prepared to leave. But she couldn't move on, not only because of the horrors she had witnessed, but because of the revelation that she herself had played a part in it. She had inadvertently released a curse into the world, unleashing a malevolent spirit that had lain dormant for millennia. What would happen now? Would the world descend into chaos? Would the curse claim more victims? Evelyn didn't know. And as she watched the sun climb higher in the sky, she could only hope that whatever came next wouldn't be too terrible to bear. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more videos.